Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. Please hit that like button and subscribe.
Yeah, do-do-do-do-do. Yeah, do-do-do-do-do. Get ready for the story of how it all began, when nothing yet existed, but there was an awesome plan. Ready for the show to start, something big is coming. Oh, then boom came that mighty voice, let there be light, and watch it glow. Waters rushing up and down, he split them with a flash. Land burst forth with green delight, what power, what a splash. From sunset bright to sunrise clear, each day brings something new to cheer. Mountains, valleys, rocks and plains, created with such joy and grace. From emptiness to paradise, God saw it, and it's all so nice. Up above the blazing sun, the moon and stars join in the fun, dancing through the sky so bright, a cosmic show of pure delight. Worlds leap high and splash with glee, fish dart through the sparkling sea, birds soar high with joyful song, and everything moves right along. From sunset bright to sunrise clear, each day brings something new to cheer. Mountains, valleys, rocks and plains, created with such joy and grace. From emptiness to paradise, God saw it, and it's awesome nice. Animals burst onto the scene, running, jumping, what a dream. But wait, there's something even more, the best part's coming just in store. Let's make humans just like us, to care for earth with love and trust. Man and woman, strong and free, the greatest gift that's meant to be. Go forth and make this world your home, every creature free to roam, every plant and fruit so sweet. This masterpiece is now complete. And looking at this wondrous sight, God said this is beyond right. 6 days of wonder, now time to rest. Every with us, it's all the best. Whoa, 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 whoa. When your wisdom formed the cosmos, set each planet's path in space, mountains rose at your command, and time and seasons found their place. Every sunrise speaks your splendor, every flower shows your art. In the vastness of creation, you reveal your loving heart. You shaped me from the dust below, your breath gave life and makes me grow. You're the maker of my life, you're the breath within my song. All creation lifts your praises, every dawn and evening long. You're the author of all beauty, every hope and every dawn. From beginning to forever, Lord, you reign. In you I'm strong. Waters danced across the landscape, life burst forth at your command. In the garden of your presence, joy flowed freely through the land. In your image you designed us, made for love and unity, heart to heart in deep connection, as you dreamed we all could be. You shaped me from the dust below, your breath gave life and makes me grow. You're the maker of my life, you're the breath within my song. All creation lifts your praises, every dawn and evening long. You're the author of all beauty, every hope and every dawn. From beginning into forever, Lord, you reign. In you I'm strong. Dancing with you, pure joy, pure peace. We were born to sing your praise, we were born to sing your praise. dancing with you, pure joy, pure peace. We were born to sing your praise. We were born to sing your praise. Yeah. You're the maker of my life. You're the breath within my song. All creation lifts your praises every dawn and evening long. You're the author of all beauty, every hope and every dawn. From beginning into forever, Lord, you reign. In you I'm strong. From Eden into forever, Lord, you reign. In you I'm strong. It started with a whisper, tricking the leaves, a silver-tongued liar weaving his deceits. He said you won't die, oh the fruit looks so sweet. But the moment they bit, the ground shook beneath their feet. Now the lights are going out, shadows getting long, heartbeats racing, they know they've done wrong. Hiding in the bushes, shaking in the cold, playing hide and seek with the maker of the world. But wait for the twist, yeah, wait for the turn. When the bridges are broken and the bridges burn, he didn't turn his back, he didn't walk away. He gave them warm coats to cover the shame of the day. He set the flaming swords not to hurt but to save, to stop them from walking to an eternal grave. It looks like an end, but it's part of the plan. The story's just starting for the woman and man. Now look at the dust where the judgment was read. Find the hidden diamond in the words that he said. Verse 15, the proto-promise ring. In the darkest of moments, the king starts to sing. He looks the serpent right in the eye and declares a war that cracks open the sky. He says, I'm sending a hero, a child of the light, to finish what started in the garden tonight. You might bite his heel, you might cause him pain, but he'll crush your head and break every chain. So they walked out the gates with a promise in hand, heading toward the future, across the new land. The game is afoot, the victory is penned. We're just waiting to see who shows up in the end. Two boys grew up on the outside dirt, sweating in the sun, working through the hurt. One watched the sheep, the other plowed the field, waiting to see what the ground would yield. Cain brought some fruit, just a piece of the crop, but Abel brought the firstborn, the cream of the top. The smoke went up, but the favor came down, only on the shepherd, and Cain began to frown. Watch out, Cain! Why is your face so low? There's a shadow behind you that you don't know. Sin is a beast and it's crouching at the door. It wants to devour you, shaking the floor. It desires to have you, to swallow you whole, but you've got to master the beast in your soul. Yeah, you've got to rule it or you lose control. He didn't listen to the warning word. Jealousy screamed louder than the voice he heard. Hey brother, let's go for a walk in the plain. Only one of them is coming back again. The first blood spilled on the thirsty ground, a silence so loud it's a terrible sound. Where is your brother? The voice demands. Am I his keeper? he's a wanderer, running from the light, scared that revenge will find him in the night. He cries, it's too heavy, the punishment is great, but watch what happens at the exile gate. God puts a mark on the murderer's head, no one touches Cain or they'll wind up dead. Even in the judgment the mercy is stark, he protects the sinner with a holy mark. He went to naught and the cities grew tall, was the baddest of them all. It looks like the darkness has won the day, but listen close to what the mother has to say. She holds a new baby, a gift from above. God gave me Seth another chance for love. The people start calling on the name of the Lord. The hero is coming to take up the sword. Pen up a scroll, read the ancient line. Fathers and sons marching through time. Adam lived 900 years and 30 more. He saw the world change from the days of yore. Seth lived 912, Enosh 905. Long, long years of staying alive. But the curse in the garden, it demands its pay. No matter how long the light fades away. And the bell tolls once and the bell tolls twice. Even the longest life comes at a price. It's the rhythm of the fall, it's the way of the tide. The verse always ends with, and then he died. Yeah, the verse always ends with, and then he died. Then came Jared and his boy Enoch grew, and he found a path that the others never knew. He didn't just live and he didn't just strive. He walked with God while he was still alive. 300 years hand in hand they went, until the days of his earth were finally spent. They went to look for his body in the ground, but the grave was empty, he couldn't be found. The rhythm was broken, the pattern was crossed. He wasn't dead, he wasn't lost. God took him up, just took him away. A glimpse of the hope of a coming day. Then came Methuselah, the oldest of men. He watched the world turn and again. But his grandson Lamech, he looked at his son and said, this is the one, yeah, this is the one. He named him Noah, which means the rest. He'll bring us comfort in the labor of our chest. The ground is cursed and our backs are sore, but rest is coming to the weary floor. From the man who walked to the man of rest, the story continues, put to the test. And rest is coming. Rest is coming. The sons of God came down, the heroes rose high, but wickedness was climbing up to the sky. Every thought, every heart turned to the black, a world running forward, never looking back. The Lord looked down at the earth he had made and saw the beauty beginning to fade. Verse 6 hits hard like a tear on the page. He regretted he made them in that violent age. So the rain is coming, the fountains will burst, to wash away the violence, to wash away the thirst. I will wipe them away, the beast and the man. I'm hitting reset on the master plan. But amidst the grief and amidst the night, one man found favor, one spark of light. Yeah, one man stood where the others would fall. Noah So here are the blueprints, listen to me good. Build yourself an ark out of gopher wood. Coat it with pitch, keep the water outside. 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide. Make rooms in the middle, make a roof on the top. Because once the rain starts, it isn't gonna stop. Fill it with the breathing, the bird and the beast. 2 by 2 from the west to the east.
Put a door in the side, just a single way in. A shelter from the storm, a shelter from the sin. I'm establishing a covenant, a promise with you. When the world falls apart, I'll carry you through.
You and your sons and your wives by your side. Come into the safety, come in and hide. The sky is turning gray, the wind starts to moan, but Noah isn't standing in the dark alone. The Bible says he listened, the Bible says he heard. Noah did everything just according to the word. The word.
According to the word.
The sound of a ticking clock. Oh, 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 oh. 7 days left, the countdown begins. A final week of mercy for a world of sins. 2 by 2, the line never ends. The predator walking with the prey's friends. Take 7 of the clean, yeah, take them inside. The unclean in pairs with nowhere to hide. 600 years old, the patriarch stands, watching the sky darken over the lands. Then the 17th day of the second month breaks. The earth starts to tremble, the foundation shake. The springs of the deep burst open wide. The windows of heaven have nothing to hide. It's not just rain falling down on the head, it's the ocean exploding from the riverbed. The fountains are broken, the chaos is free. The world is returning to the deep blue sea. They went in the wood, they went in the dark. Every breath of life is inside of the ark. The bird and the cattle, the creeping thing too, doing exactly what they were meant to do. Then the moment of truth, the final separation, the end of the old, the birth of a nation. The ramp is pulled up, the last light is dim. Noah didn't close it, he didn't lock the gate. He didn't choose the hour, he didn't choose the date. The scripture is silent, the scripture is thin, until it says, and the Lord shut him in. Sealed by the hand that holds back the tide, safe from the judgment churning outside. God closed the door, and the lock is divine, separating the water from the remnant line. 15 cubits over the highest peak, no sound of a bird, no voice to speak. Only the creak of the wood on the wave, a floating tomb or a floating grave. But inside the promise, life is afloat, safe in the mercy of the gopher wood boat. A 150 days of just the creaking wood, wondering if the world would ever be good. Floating in the silence of a water-covered sphere. But then God leaned in and he drew near. Scripture says he remembered, he hadn't forgot. He thought about Noah in the lonely spot. He sent a wind blowing across the deep to wake the earth up from its watery sleep. Oh, the wind is blowing, the water's going down. The peaks of Ararat are wearing a crown. Open up the hatch, let the sunlight in. It's a brand new start for the world of sin. The rain has stopped falling, the sky is clear. remember Noah, the dry land is near. Yeah, yeah, he opened the window to test the air. Sent a black-winged raven flying out there. It went back and forth with nowhere to rest, a wild search for a place to nest. Then he sent a dove, gentle and white, but she came back home before the night. 7 days later he tried it again and waited to see what the wind would send. Yeah, she came back in the evening, tapping on the wood, holding a sign that it was finally good. A freshly plucked olive leaf in her beak, a promise of life for the humble and meek. The tree is alive, the roots have held on. The night is over, here comes the dawn. Come out, Noah, bring your family out. The waiting is over, give a thankful shout. Step on the ground, feel the solid earth, witness the miracle of a second birth. He built an altar on the mountain stone, and the smoke went up to the heavenly throne. A pleasing aroma to the Lord above, received in mercy, received in love. Never again, the Lord replied, will I strike the earth and the life inside. As long as the earth endures, hear the decree. Seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease, will never cease. Yeah. Step out on the wet grass, breathe the new air. The fear of the hunter is everywhere. Go feel the earth multiply and spread, but listen close to what the Spirit said. Life is in the blood, so treat it with care. Justice is the burden that you have to bear. If you shed the blood of a man on the floor, by a man shall your blood be shed evermore. But look up at the cloud. I'm breaking the silence, I'm saying it loud. I'm hanging my bow in the sky above, unstrung and painted with colors of love. It's a sign for the ages, a sign for the rain. I'll never destroy the whole earth again. When the storm clouds gather and the thunder is deep, I'll look at the rainbow and the promise I'll keep. The water is gone and the rainbow is bright, but the heart of the hero is still in the night. No other farmer, he planted a vine. He took the fruit and he made the wine. He drank from the cup and he fell on the floor, just like the Adam who fell before. Naked and ashamed in the heat of the tent, is this how the righteous man ends the event? Ham saw the shame and he talked to the street, but his brothers refused to accept the defeat. Shem and Japheth, with a robe on their back, walked in backwards to cover the lack. They covered the father, they covered the sin. They wouldn't let the mockery finally win. No, oh, 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 oh. No, no, oh, 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 oh. Noah woke and the words were stern, a lesson that history has to learn. Cursed be the son who dishonored the dad, but blessed be Shem for the honor he had. The rainbow is shining up in the sky, but down in the vineyard we still need to cry. The flood washed the earth, but it missed the heart. We're still waiting for a brand new start. Open the map, spread it wide on the sand. See the rivers running through the drying land. 3 sons of Noah, 3 different ways. 70 nations for the coming days. Japheth, sailing to the coast and the isle, moving north and west, mile by mile. Gomer and Magog, Javon in the sea, spreading out the branches of the family tree. They're walking, they're talking, they're moving away. New words, new tongues, new places to stay, from the mountain of Ararat down to the plain, filling up the empty world once again. The table is set and the nations are born in the light of the post-flood morning. Now look to the south where the sun is hot. Ham had a grandson who stirred up the pot. Nimrod the hunter, a mighty man of war, first on the earth to settle the score. He didn't just wander, he wanted to rule. He built the first cities, he wasn't a fool. Babylon, Uruk, Akkad, and Shinar, the seeds of the empire stretching out far. A mighty hunter before the Lord's face, but building a kingdom to run his own race. And then there is Shem, the father of the east, quietly walking while the others feast. He had a son named Eber, crossing the line, carrying the spark of the grand design. Peleg was born when the earth was divided, a crack in the map where the people collided. But down in the valley, hidden from view, the line of the promise is coming on through. Dusk until dawn, the people are gathered in the land of Shinar. They're looking for a name, and they're looking for a star. They're gathering bricks, they're gathering stone. Something is coming to the throne. Everyone speak, use the same word, make the loudest noise that the world has heard. We found a plane, we found a space, we don't want to scatter all over the place. We don't need the stone from the mountainside, we got technology, we got pride. Burn the brick, bake it thoroughly, build a system that sets us free. Come let us build, reach for the sky, we'll make a name that will never die. Let's touch the heavens with a tower of clay. We don't need God if we do it our way. One people, one language, one massive aim. It's all about the glory of the human name. But the Lord came down to see the show, to see the little tower in the world below. If they do this now in the unity, there is no limit to the vanity. Come let us go down, mix up the speech, put the understanding out of their reach. The words dissolved, the bricks fell down, and the silence returned to the Babel town. Come let us build, reach for the sky, we'll make a name that will never die. Let's touch the heavens with a tower of clay. We don't need God if we do it our way. One people, one language, one massive aim. It's all about the glory of the human name. The crowd is scattered, the noise is gone, but the line of promise carries on. Shem to Arphaxad, Shelah to Eber, Peleg to Reu, fathers and sons passing it through. Serug to Nahor, the line gets thin. God is looking for a place to begin. Then came Terah, and he had a son, named him Abram, the chosen one. He took his wife Sarai, beautiful and fair, but the tent was quiet, there was no air. Sarai was barren, the cradle was cold, a different story waiting to unfold. They left the city of the Chaldean moon, heading for Canaan, but they stopped too soon. Terah died in Haran, halfway there, leaving Abram standing in the desert air. The tower is broken, the world is vast, and one man is waiting for the voice at last. Da 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 da. 25 years in his father's home. In Haran he waited, flesh and bone, until the silence broke, a voice in his ear. Leave your country, get away from here. Leave your kin and your father's door. I'm showing you a land you've never seen before. So he packed up the tent and he packed up the life, took his nephew Lot and his barren wife. Go, Abram, go to the place I will show. I will make you a nation that the whole world will know. I will bless you and make your name great, a blessing that opens up history's gate. I'll bless those who bless you and curse those who don't. I'm doing a thing that the others just won't. Through you every family on earth finds a way. The promise is launched in the heat of the day. Hey! He walks through the land to the oak of man. The Canaanites watching, but he didn't sway. The Lord appeared, said, look at this sand. I'm giving your offspring this very land. So he built an altar, yeah, he piled a stone. Then he went to Bethel, made it his own. He pitched his tent with the eye to the east, calling on the name, the famine and the feast. But the famine got heavy, the food ran low. He looked down to Egypt and decided to go. Fear grabbed his heart when he saw the king. He said, Sarai, my love, you're a beautiful thing. If they know you're my wife, they'll take my life away. So say you're my sister, just do what I say. The Pharaoh took her, the danger was deep, but the Lord sent a plague while the palace was asleep. He protected the mother of the nation to be, even when the father was too scared to see. Goes down. Go! Take your wife and get out. He sent them away with a shout and a doubt, but they left with the cattle, the silver and gold. The story of grace is beginning to unfold. He failed the test, but the promise held true. Back to the Negev, starting a new da 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 da. Yeah, yeah, oh, 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 yeah, yeah, oh, oh, oh. Back to the altar, back to the start. But the weight of the blessings pulling apart. Too many cattle, too many sheep. The land can't handle the promise we keep. The herdsmen are fighting, the dust is in the air. There's not enough water for the family to share. So Abram stood up, the humble and the strong, and said, we are brothers, we shouldn't act wrong. So let's part ways, let's divide the land. The whole earth is open right under your hand. If you go to the left, then I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, then I'll take the left. Let there be no strife, let the anger cease. We are family, let us walk in peace. Lot lifted his eyes and he looked at the plain. He saw the river, he saw the rain. It looked like the garden of the Lord back then. It looked like the Egypt we were living in. He didn't see the danger, he only saw the green. He chose the best valley that he had ever seen. He moved his tent closer to the Sodom gate, walking by sight and tempting his fate. So let's part ways, let's divide the land. The whole earth is open right under your hand. If you go to the left, then I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, then I'll take the left. Let there be no strife, let the anger cease. We are family, let us walk in peace. So Abram stayed in the Canaanite hills, dusty and dry, but he's trusting still. Then the Lord spoke down now that he was alone. Lift up your eyes, make this this land your own. Look north and south, look east and west. I'm giving it all to the one who stood the test. I'll make your children like the dust of the floor. If you can count the dirt, you can count the score. Lot took the garden, but he took the sin. Abram took the mountain and he let God in. Two different roads for the kinsman pair. One to the city and one to the air. Yeah, oh, 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 oh.
4 kings from the east, marching on the plain. 12 years of service, breaking the chain. Tar pits in the valley where the rebels fell. They took the plunder, they took the people as well. But they made one mistake, a fatal degree. They took the nephew of the man who is free. Saddle up, 318 men of the household, sharp and keen, chasing the night as far as Dan. The shepherd becomes the fighting man. Recover the captive, recover the gold. A story of courage that has to be told. Attacked in the darkness, divided the band, route them to Hobah, clear out the land. Bring back the goods, bring back the kin. Lot is returned from the mess he was in. But on the way home in the Valley of Kings, a mysterious stranger brings holy things. King of Salem, Prince of Peace, Melchizedek brings the release. He brings out the bread, he brings out the wine. A priest to the God who is divine. Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of the earth and the sky. Then the king of Sodom said, give me the men. You keep the riches, you keep the wind. But Abram raised his hand to the Lord. He didn't need the money from the sword. I won't take a thread, I won't take a strap, I won't take a sandal from your trap. You'll never say you made Abram rich. I'm standing solely on the covenant pitch. Do not be afraid, I am your shield. The word came down in the quiet field. I am your reward, your very great prize. But Abram looked up with tears in his eyes. Sovereign Lord, what can you give? I have no son, I have no seed to catch the blessing you pour on me. A servant from Damascus is all I see. Then he took him outside into the night. Look at the canvas, look at the light. Count the stars if you think you can. So shall be the seed of the childless man. Abram stood silent. The doubt finally ceased. He believed the Lord, and the soul was released. To do, he cut them in half, laid them side by side. A path of blood open and wide. The vultures came down to eat the dead. Abram drove them away with a heavy dread. The sun went down, the sleep fell heavy. A terror of darkness broke the levee. Know for certain your sons will be slaves. 400 years in foreign graves, mistreated and broken in a land not their own. But I will judge the king on the throne. They will come out with silver, will come out with gold, but the sin of the Amorite is not yet told. Then the darkness fell, black as pitch, a smoking fire pot, a blazing torch, moving between the pieces on the floor. God walking the path of the bloody door. He made the vow, he walked it alone, while Abram watched I give this land. To your descendants I give this land. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. 10 years of silence in the promised land. Sarai took the future into her own hand. Take my servant Hagar, build a house through her. But the seed of the plan became a bitter bird. Pride in the servant, anger in the wife. Suddenly the tent is cutting like a knife. Run, Hagar, run, fleeing from the pain. Walking towards Egypt through the burning plain. She fell by the spring on the road to Shur. Your seed starting today. Oh, 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 hey. Oh, 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 start today. Oh, 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 oh. You are with child, you will bear a son. Call his name Ishmael, the wild one. He'll be a wild donkey, untamed and free. His hand against the world and the world against he. He'll live in hostility east of the kin, but I have heard the misery you are in. She looked at the angel, she looked at the sky. She gave a new name to the Lord Most High. You are El Roy, you are the God who sees. You saw me in the wreckage, you saw me on my knees. I have seen the one who looks after me. Winters had passed him by, oh, when the Lord appeared to Abram's eye. He said, I am God Almighty true. Walk before me blameless in all you do. Abram fell face down in the dust, listening to the voice of trust. I will make my covenant start between me, you and your beating heart. No longer Abram, you are Abraham, father of many nations, part of the plan. I will make you fruitful, kings will rise under the vast and starry skies. An everlasting bond for your kin and you. You will carry the sign. Every male when 8 days old must bear the mark as I have told. A token of the promise made, a debt of faith that must be paid, to be cut off if you refuse. This is the path that you must choose. And as for Sarai, by your side, her name is Sarah, my gloom has died. I will bless her body, I will give a son, mother of nations, the chosen one. Abraham fell face down again, but laughter rose within the man. Can a 100-year-old father a child? Can 90-year-old Sarah be so wild? He cried, if only Ishmael could live under your grace. God said, I have heard you, I will bless his race. 12 rulers will rise from Ishmael's hand, but my covenant stands where Isaac stands. By this time Sarah will bear the son foretold. When God went up and the speaking was done, Abraham took Ishmael, his 13-year son, and every male born or born in that place. They took the sign of God's own grace. On that very day, the blade was drawn, a new beginning, a faithful dawn. 99 years and the promise is sealed. In the flesh of the faithful, the glory revealed. On that very day, on that very day, Abraham obeyed. I'm lifting up my hands today, got a smile I can't contain. Every breath and every beat is dancing to his holy name. You fill my cup, it's running over, spilling out onto the floor. I can't keep this blessing hidden, I've got to give you more and more. I didn't earn this golden ticket, it's a gift that came for free. When I open up my mouth to shout, it's his spirit moving me. I'm pointing every finger upwards, sending glory to the King. I'm just the happy microphone, amplifying everything. It's not mine to keep inside, it's a joy I cannot hide. This amazing grace I carry is meant to spread out far and wide. I'm a courier of kindness, running fast to spread the word to everyone who's ready, to the happiest truth you've heard. Every cheer and every praise goes right back to the ancient of days. It's not mine to keep, I'm just so blessed to know his ways. He gave the song to me so I could give the song to you. Look at what the Father did, look at what his love can do. What he lit inside my heart, he wants to light inside of yours. Catch the fire, feel the love, he's opening up all the doors. Whose is it? It's his. It's his. Look for it. It's his. The power. It's his. I'm giving it back. It's his. I'm pouring it out. It's his. Yeah, I'm blessed. So blessed. I don't own a single thing, but I'm richer than a king. He made the stars, he made the day, and I get to give his love away. It's his. So his. One world, one voice, one language in the air. The people started moving with the dream they wanted to share. They traveled to the east and found a valley wide. The plain of Shinar called them with nowhere left to hide. They said, let's make some bricks and bake them in the flame. Let's build ourselves a city and make ourselves a name. They didn't use the stone, they used the brick and tar. They wanted to reach up to the highest star. Build it higher, build it to the sky. A tower for the ages, reaching way up high. Lest we be scattered across the face of earth. Let's show the heavens what our hands are worth. One people, one purpose, one giant wall of stone, trying to reach a height that belongs to God alone.
see the city and the tower. He looked at what they'd built in their own human power. He said, if they are one and they speak a single tongue, there's nothing they can't do before the day is hung. So with a mighty word, the plan began to shift. A sudden change of speech, a strange and heavy rift. 1, 2, 3. What did you say? I don't understand. The hammer stopped falling across the busy land. A babble of voices, a tangle of the mind. Suddenly they're leaving their legacy behind. They couldn't talk, so they couldn't stay. The work came to a halt on that confusing day. So they scattered across the hills and plains, leaving behind the ruins and the empty chains. The city's name is Babel, where the voices went astray. God showed the nations a different kind of way. Yeah, they scattered to the north and south and west, but the story's moving on to the very best. Confused the language, scattered the seeds. The world is waiting for the one who leads. 2 years after the flood had passed, the water gone, the world was vast. The line of Shem begins to run, passing the torch from son to son. Shem was 100, a century old, when Arphaxad's story began to unfold. 500 years he saw the light, with sons and daughters in his sight. At 35, Arphaxad's joy was Shelah, his own baby boy. 403 more years he stayed, while the foundation of the world was laid. Shelah hit 30, then Eber was born. 403 years from the dawn. Eber at 34, Peleg arrived. 430 years he thrived. Oh, Peleg at 30, then Ru came along. 209 years, steady and strong. Ru at 32, Serug was the heir. 207 years of the father's care. Generations moving, the clock doesn't stop. From the mountain peak to the valley top, every name is written, every year is told. A story of silver, a story of gold. The promise is traveling through the years, through all the laughter and all the tears. Hey, hey, hey! Serug at 30, then Nahor was there. 200 more years in the desert air. Nahor at 29, Terah was the name. 119 years in the flame. Then Terah reached 70, a father of 3. Abram, Nahor, and Haran, you see. The family tree is growing tall in the eyes of the one who made it all. But Haran died early in the land of his birth, in Ur of the Chaldees, the dust of the earth. He left behind Lot, his own flesh and bone, in a world where the future was yet to be known. Abram took Sarai, a wife of great grace, but no child was found in their dwelling place. And Nahor took Milcah to walk by his side as the family moved on the incoming tide. Terah took Abram and Sarai, his daughter, and Lot, his grandson, toward the western water. They left the Chaldeans, they left the older, heading for Canaan. The promise was sure, but they came to Haran and settled right there, building their tents in the cool of the air. 205 years, Terah's time was done in the land of Haran, beneath the setting sun. Generations move it, the clock doesn't stop. Hey! From the mountain peak to the valley top, every name is written, every year is told. A story of silver, a story of gold. The promise is traveling through the years, through all the laughter and all the tears. The night is ready, the stage is set. Woo! The greatest journey hasn't happened yet. Hey, hey. The word of the Lord came down like fire to lift a man's heart and his soul's desire. The journey of faith is starting today. Listen to what the Almighty would say. Get thee out of thy country, the command was clear. Leave thy kindred and thy father's house so dear, unto a land that I will show to thee, a place of promise that you're meant to be. I'll make of thee a nation, great and strong. I'll bless thy name and I'll right every wrong. I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth. The power of the promise, the Spirit reheard. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed, from the north to the south, from the east to the west. Step out in the light, let the journey begin. The story of grace is about to win. So Abram departed as the Lord had spoken, with a heart full of hope and a silence broken. 75 years was the age of the man when he stepped out to follow the master's plan. He took Sarai, his wife, and Lot, his brother's son, with all the substance and the people they had won. They left out of Haran for the Canaanite ground, into the land where the promise is found. Abram passed through to the place of Sichem, to the plain of Moreh. The Lord spoke again, unto thy seed will I give this land. And he built an altar there with his own hand. He moved to a mountain east of Bethel's height, pitched his tent in the morning light, with Bethel on the west and Hay on the east. He called on the name at the altar of the feast. Then Abram journeyed, going on still, toward the southland by the Father's way. I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth. The power of the promise, the Spirit rehearsed. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed, from the north to the south, from the east to the west. Step out in the light, let the journey begin. The story of grace is about to win. Moving to the south, calling on the name, the world would never, ever be the same. The promise was given, the journey was on, but a shadow fell across the dawn. The grass turned brown and the rain didn't fall, testing the faith of the man with the call. There was a famine heavy in the land. The dust was blowing through Abram's hand, so he went down to Egypt to stay for a while, to find some water by the banks of the Nile. But as he came near to the Egyptian gate, he looked at his wife and he feared his fate. I know thou art fair, a woman of grace, with beauty that shines in this desert place. When the Egyptians see you, they'll say with a cry, this is his wife, and then I will die. But they'll keep you alive for the beauty they see. So tell them you're my sister, do this for me, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live for the choice that we make. A half-truth spoken in a moment of fear, as the towers of Pharaoh began to appear. Oh, the Nile is wide, and the gold is bright, the tension grew. Sheep and oxen and servants in line. Abram grew rich by the Egyptian design. He had he-asses, she-asses, and camels to ride, while Sarai was kept in the palace inside. But the Lord saw the house and the Lord saw the lie, and great plagues fell from the Egyptian sky. The king and his people were struck with the pain, until the truth of the marriage was perfectly plain. Pharaoh called Abram and said, what is this? Why did you lead me to a moment like this? Why did you say she's my sister to me? I took her for a wife, but now I see. Now therefore, behold thy wife. Take her and go. Get out of my land and end this show. Oh, the Nile is wide and the gold is bright, but the heart of the matter is hidden from sight. Continues mile by mile. Woo! Up from the south with a wealth of gold, back to the place where the story was told. Rich in cattle, in silver and light, returning to Bethel in the morning bright. Abram went back to the altar of old, between Bethel and Hai, where his heart was bold. He called on the name of the Lord once again, leaving the shadows of the Egyptian plain. And Lot, who went with him, had flocks and had tents, but the land was too small for the life it presents. The substance was great, they couldn't stay near. The grass was too thin and the water was dear. The herdsmen of Abram and the herdsmen of Lot began to have strife in that crowded spot. And the Canaanite lived in the land at the time, watching the family in their prime. Abram said, let there be no strife, I pray, between me and thee on this holy day. Are we not brethren? The land is so wide. Let's part our ways and let peace be our guide. Pick a side, to the left or the right. The valley is green or the mountain is bright. If thou go to the left, then I'll take the east. If thou take the right, I'll be happy at least. Peace is the treasure more precious than gold, in the story of faith that is being told. Lot lifted his eyes and he saw the whole plain, well watered like Eden, like Egypt's own rain. Before the Lord struck Sodom's walls to the ground, it looked like a paradise waiting to be found. So Lot chose the Jordan, he moved to the east, toward the city of sinners and the worldly feast. Abram stayed in the Canaanite land, while Lot pitched his tent by the Sodom sand. But the men of that city were wicked and cold, sinuing against God with a heart that was bold. And the Lord said to Abram, lift up
to the north, to the south and the west. All that you see is the land of your rest. To the end thy seed I will give it forever. A promise of grace that no power can sever. I'll make thy seed like the dust of the ground, so many that they never could be found. Pick a side, to the left or the right. Hey! The valley is green or the mountain is bright. Oh, peace is the treasure more precious than gold in the story of faith that is being told. Abram moved to Mamre, to Hebron's old tree, and built there an altar for the world to see. An altar at Abram, a promise of dust, walking in peace, walking in trust. Four kings from the east came riding down to claim the valley and the desert crown. 12 years of service, then a rebel cry. Now the dust of battle is filling up the sky. Amraphel of Shinar and Arioch of the plain, Shador Leomer of Elam brought the heavy rain. With title king of nations, they made their move, with a point to settle and a power to prove, against Bera of Sodom and Bersha's command. Shinab and Shemeber took a final stand. The king of Bela joined the five in the fight, in the vale of Siddim, in the morning light. The four crushed the giants, the Rephaim fell. The Zuzims and the Emims had a story to tell. The Horites in the mountains, the Amalekite field, even the Amorites were forced to yield. But the kings of the valley fell in the pits of slime. Sodom and Gomorrah had a terrible time. They took all the goods and the food from the stores, and Lot, Abram's nephew, was caught in the wars. 318 ready for the call. Abram's trained servants standing brave and tall, running through the night to the city of Dan, to rescue the family and the master's plan. Divided in the dark, they struck with the sword, bringing back the people by the hand of the Lord. Back from the slaughter by the king's dale, a mystery appearing through the desert veil. Melchizedek of Salem, the priest of the Most High, brought out bread and wine beneath the open sky. Blessed be Abram of the God of the earth, who delivered thy enemies and showed thy worth. And Abram gave a tenth of the spoils he had won to the King of righteousness beneath the setting sun. The king of Sodom said, "Give me the souls, keep the goods for yourself." That's how the story rolls. But Abram lifted his hand to the Lord on high. I won't take a thread or a latchet, no lie, lest you should say I made Abram rich. I'll take nothing from your valley or your slime-filled ditch. Only what the young man ate, and the portion for the three, and her Eshcol and Mamre, who walked along with me. 318 ready for the call. Abram's trained servant standing brave and tall. He wouldn't take the silver, he wouldn't take the gold. He walked with the promise that the Father had told. Victory is won and the captives are free. After these things, the word came down like a golden light on a quiet town. Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield. Thy exceeding great reward is revealed. But Abram said, Lord, what wilt thou give? Seeing I go childless as long as I live. The steward of my house is this man I see. Eliezer of Damascus, he's the heir to me. Behold, to me thou hast given no seed. A servant born in my house is my heir indeed. The word came back, this shall not be. Thine own son shall be the heir to thee. He brought him forth beneath the night and showed him the heavens burning bright. Look now toward heaven and tell the stars, if thou be able to number their sparks, so shall thy seed be, the Father said. And the weight of the promise was over his head. He believed in the Lord in the quiet of the night, and he counted it to him for righteousness and light. I am the Lord that brought thee from Ur to give thee this land. The promise is sure, from the dust of the ground to the stars in the sky. The oath of the Master will never die. How shall I know, was the question he asked. So the Lord gave a sign for a holy task. Bring a heifer, a goat, and a ram of 3 years, a turtle dove and a pigeon to calm all the fears. He divided the pieces, he laid them in line, but he left the birds whole for the holy design. When the fowls came down on the carcasses there, Abram drove them away through the heavy air. A deep sleep fell as the sun went low, and a horror of great darkness began to grow. Know of a surety, thy seed shall be slaves in a land not their own, by the desert waves. 400 years they will serve and be pressed, but that nation I'll judge, and they'll leave with the best. In the 4th generation they'll come back again, when the sin of the Amorites is full in the plain. He believed in the Lord in the quiet of the night, and he counted it to him for righteousness and light. A smoking furnace and a burning lamb passed through the pieces in the middle of the camp. The covenant was made on that very day for the land and the seed in a glorious way. From the river of Egypt to the great Euphrates, the Kenites, the Cadmonites, the land is thine. 10 years had passed in the Canaanite son, but the promise of a son hadn't yet begun. Sarai looked at Abram with a heavy heart, and a plan of her own was about to start. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bore him no child, but she had an Egyptian maid, quiet and mild. Hagar was her name, and Sarai made the call, "Go in unto my maid to save us
It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the words that they were. So Hagar was given as a wife to his side in the 10th year of living, where the promises hide. But when she conceived, the trouble began. Hagar looked at Sarai with a different plan. Her mistress was despised in the eyes of the maid, and Sarai told Abram of the price she had paid. My wrong be upon thee, was the cry of her soul. But Abram said, thy maid is in thy control. Do to her as it pleaseth thee, he replied. And Sarai dealt hardly till the handmaid fled to hide. Oh, she ran to the desert, to the fountain of Shur. But the angel of the Lord was waiting for her. Thou God seest me, was the cry from the sand, in the lonely wilderness of a dry and thirsty land. The Lord hears the affliction, and he knows every name. He's the God of the well and the God of the flame. Hagar, Sarai's maid, whence comest thou? The angel asked the question in the here and now. Return to thy mistress and submit to her hand. I will multiply thy seed across the golden sand. Behold, thou shalt bear a son for the world to see, and thou shalt call him Ishmael, for God heard thee. A wild man he'll be, with his hand against all, living in the presence of his brethren's call. She called the name of the Lord that spoke to her heart. Thou God seest me from the very start. For she said, have I also here looked after him in the desert places where the light was getting dim? Therefore the well was called Beer Lahai Roi. Between Kadesh and Bered, a fountain of joy. And Hagar bore Abram a son for his own, in the light of the mercy that the Father had shown. Oh, she ran to the desert, to the fountain of Shur. But the angel of the Lord was waiting for her. Thou God seest me, was the cry from the sand, in the lonely wilderness of a dry and thirsty land. The Lord hears the affliction, and he knows every name. He's the God of the well and the God of the flame. Ishmael was the name. The Lord had heard the cry, and Abram was 86 years old. 86 years old. 99 years have passed away since the first breath of his earthly day. The Lord appeared with a mighty sound, and Abram fell upon the ground. I am the Almighty God, he said. Walk before me and be not afraid. I will make my covenant between me and thee, and multiply thy seed for the world to see. Abram fell on his face in the dust of the land, as the Father revealed the master plan. Neither shall thy name anymore be called Abram, but Abraham shall thy name be, the father of many. I will make thee exceeding fruitful and great. Kings shall come out of thy holy gate, and Sarai thy wife, her name shall be Sarah, a mother of nations, a queen of the era. A brand new name, a brand new sign, walking in the light of the grand design. Every male shall shall bear a son, and thou shalt call him Isaac, the promised one. And as for Ishmael, I have heard thy prayer. I will bless him and make him a nation out there. 12 princes shall he beget in his might, but my covenant is with Isaac, the child of the light. At this set time in the year to come, Sarah shall bring forth the little one. A brand new name, a brand new sign, walking in the light of the grand design. Every male shall be circumcised today, as a token of the covenant in a holy way, an everlasting promise, a bond of the heart. A brand new chapter is about to start. In the selfsame day, just as God had said, Ishmael and the servants, the covenant was spread. Abraham was 99. The heat of the day was heavy and still, under the oaks by the master's will. Abraham sat by the door of his tent, watching the road where the travelers went. He lifted his eyes and he saw 3 men standing beside him. Then he ran to them. He bowed to the ground and he said, "My Lord, if I found favor, hear my word. Let a little water be fetched for your feet. Rest under the tree in the midday heat. I'll bring a morsel of bread for your heart before on your journey you depart." "So do as thou hast said," they replied. And Abraham ran to the tent inside. "Make ready 3 measures of meal," he said to Sarah his wife, "for the cakes of bread." He ran to the herd for a calf so good, and gave it to the servant as fast as he could. With butter and milk and the tender meat, he stood by them while they sat to eat. "Where is thy wife?" was the question they asked. "She's in the tent for her daily task. I will certainly return in the time of life, and a son shall be born to Sarah thy wife. Is anything too hard for the Lord to do? Every promise he makes is coming through." Now Sarah heard it by the tent door there, and she laughed to herself in the desert air. "Shall I have pleasure being old and gray, and my Lord being old on this very day?" The Lord said, "Abraham, why did she laugh? Is anything too hard on the Father's path? At the set time I'll come, just as I said." And Sarah denied it with a heart full of dread. "I laugh not," she cried, but he spoke with a smile. "Nay, but thou didst laugh all the while." The men rose up and they looked toward the plain where Sodom was waiting for the fire and rain. The Lord said, "Shall I hide what I'm about to do from the man who is faithful and the man who is true? The cry of Sodom is great and its sin is deep. The secrets of the valley I cannot keep." Abraham stood yet before the Lord's face and pleaded for mercy for the human race. "Wilt thou destroy the righteous with the wicked there? If there be 50 found, will thou not spare? If I find 50, I'll spare it for their sake." But the count went down for the choice they would make, down to 45, and then down to 40, down to 30 and 20, for the God of the worthy. If there be was the promise he heard. Is anything too hard for the Lord to do? Every promise he makes is coming through. He listens to the prayer of the humble man, working out the mystery of the master plan. From the laughter of Sarah to the city on the plain, the Lord of the heavens is the Lord of the rain. The Lord went his way, and Abraham returned to the place of his tent, where the lessons were learned. Oh, la la da na 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 na. Wait, hey. Whoa, escape to the mountain, a pillar of salt. Lot sat there in the city square and bowed to the ground with a humble prayer. Come into my house, my lords, he said. Wash your feet and rest your head. They said, nay, we'll stay in the street tonight. But he pressed them hard till they saw the light. He made them a feast and he baked the bread. But the men of the city had a different head. From every corner, both young and old, they surrounded the house with a heart so bold. Bring them out was the wicked cry, but Lot went out with a heavy sigh. Do not so wickedly, my friends, I pray. But they pressed him back in a violent way. The angels reached out and pulled him in and struck them with blindness for their sin. They groped for the door, but they couldn't find the judgment of God on the wicked mind. Run for your life, don't look behind. Leave the shadow of the city blind. Escape to the mountain, don't stay in the plain. Before the fire and the heavy rain, the mercy of God is a guiding light, leading the remnant through the night. Hey! Hast thou any here? The angels asked. Sons or daughters for the saving task. Lot spoke to his sons-in-law that night, but he seemed as one who mocked their sight. When the morning rose, the angel said, haste, lest thou be consumed in the city's waste. They laid hold of his hand and his daughters too, for the Lord was merciful to see them through. The sun was risen when he entered Zor. Then the Lord opened up the heavenly door. Brimstone and fire from the Lord on high rained down hard from the burning sky. He overthrew the cities and the whole green plain and all that grew in the heavy rain. But Lot's wife looked back from behind his feet and became a pillar of salt in the heat. Abraham looked toward the Sodom smoke, rising like a furnace where the judgment broke. But God remembered the man of faith and sent Lot out from the valley of death. Lot moved to a cave in the mountainside with his two daughters, nowhere to hide. The story continues through the family line, Moab and Ammon by the human design. Look behind, leave the shadow of the city blind. Escape to the mountain, don't stay in the plain. Before the fire and the heavy rain, the mercy of God is a guiding light, leading the remnant through the night. Woo! Escape to the mountain, escape to the mountain, escape to the mountain. A pillar of salt, the smoke is rising, the promise goes on. Hey, hey, hey!
Abraham journeyed from the plains of old toward the south country where the stories unfold. Between Kadesh and Shur in the land of the heat, he stayed in Gerar where the two worlds meet. He said of Sarah, his own faithful wife, she is my sister, to protect his life. Then Abimelech, the king of the land, sent out his servants and took her in hand. But God came to Abimelech in a dream of the night, and stood before him in the holy light. Behold, thou art but a dead man, he said, for the woman thou hast taken to thy bed. For she is a man's wife, and the truth is near. But the king said, Lord, wilt thou slay without fear? Said he not to me, she is my sister today. In the integrity of my heart I walked this way. God said, I know that thy heart was clean, therefore I kept thee from the sin unseen. Now restore the man his wife, for a prophet is he. He shall pray for thy life, and thou shalt be free. Restore the promise, restore the line, restore the line, restore the line. Walking in the light of the truth divine. The king rose early in the morning light to set the record and the spirit right. Every word spoken and every word heard is held in the hand of the sovereign word. Abimelech called him and said, what hast thou done? What have I offended under the sun? Thou hast brought on my kingdom a great heavy sin. Abraham answered with the fear from within. I thought, surely the fear of God is not here, and they'll slay me for my wife, the one I hold dear. And yet indeed she is my sister, he cried, the daughter of my father on the other side. When God caused me to wander from my father's door, I said, this is the kindness I ask of thee more. Then the king gave him sheep and oxen and gold, and restored him his wife as the story is told. Behold, my land is before thee, he said, dwell where it pleaseth thee, and be not afraid. To Sarah he said, I have given thy brother 1,000 of silver like no other. Behold, he is a covering of the eyes to thee, to all that are with thee, for the world to see. So Abraham prayed to the Lord Most High, and God healed the king and the household nearby. For the Lord had closed up every womb in the place because of Sarah and the promise of grace. Restore the promise, restore the light. Right, every word spoken and every word heard is held in the hand of the sovereign word. Abraham prayed, the household was healed. The truth of the sister was finally revealed. The Lord visited Sarah as he had said. The promise was waking from the old man's bed. In the set time, in the heat of the year, the cry of a baby was the music to hear. Abraham was 100 years old that day, when the shadows awaiting were all swept away. Sarah bore him a son in his aged hand, the miracle child of the promised land. He circumcised the boy on the 8th day's light, just as the Lord had commanded his sight. Sarah said, God hath made me to laugh this hour, so that all who hear will see his power. The child grew tall and the weaning day came. Abraham made the nations will tell. Hey, hey. Abraham rose early, gave her bread in the bottle, sending her out with the desert to throttle. She wandered in Beersheba, the water was spent. She cast the child under a shrub in her lament. She sat a good way off and she began to cry. Let me not see the death of the lad nearby. But God heard the voice of the boy from the ground, and the angel of the Lord made a holy sound. What aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not, he said. God hath heard the lad from his lonely bed. Arise, lift him up, hold him fast in thy hand. I'll make him a nation in this desert land. Then God opened her eyes and she saw the well. She filled up the bottle and the shadows fell. God was with the lad and he grew in the wild, an archer in Paran, the wilderness child. Laughter, laughter is the name of the boy, filling up the house with a brand new joy. Even in the desert when the water is gone, the Lord hears the cry and he carries us on. From the weaning face to the wilderness well. It's a story of mercy that the nations will tell. Hey, Isaac means laughter. God heard the lad. The promise is growing from the heart of the dad. After these things, the silence broke, and the voice of the Father softly spoke. Abraham, he called through the morning air, and he answered, Behold, I am here. Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest with a heart so tragic. Go to the land of Moriah's height, and offer him there in the morning light, for a burnt offering on a mountainside, where the secrets of faith and the promise hide. Abraham rose early, he saddled his steed, with two of his men and the boy he led. He clived the wood for the offering fire, to fulfill the call of the great desire. 3 days they traveled across the land, till he saw the place from the Father's hand. Abide ye here with the ass, he said. I and the lad will go yonder to tread. We will worship the Lord in the holy place, and come again to see your face. Jehovah Jireh, the Lord will provide on the mountain of Moriah, where we hide. Through the fire and the wood and the heavy test, the heart of the Father is put to the rest. God will provide himself a lamb for the son of the promise, for the son of the man. Isaac spoke as they walked the path. My father, behold the fire's wrath. Here is the wood and the knife in thy hand, but where is the lamb for the desert land? Abraham looked with a steady eye. My son, God will provide a lamb nearby. So they went both together, hand in hand, to the place that the Lord of the heavens had planned. He built the altar, he laid the wood, he bound his son as he understood. He stretched out his hand, he took the knife to offer the lad and the promise of life. But the angel of the Lord called out from the sky, Abraham, Abraham, was the sudden cry. Lay not thine hand upon the lad, for now I know that thou art glad to fear thy God, seeing thou hast not kept thine only son, while the world has slept. Abraham lifted his eyes to see a ram caught fast in a thicket tree.
He took the ram for the offering fire instead of his son and his heart's desire. He called the place Jehovah-Jireh that day, as the shadows of testing were swept away. Jehovah-Jireh, the Lord will provide on the mountain of Moriah, where we hide. Through the fire and the wood and the heavy test, the heart of the Father is put to the rest. God will provide himself a lamb for the son of the promise, for the son of the I sworn, saith the Lord on high, because thou hast done this, the blessing is nigh. In blessing I'll bless thee, in multiplying thy seed, like the stars and the sand, for the world's great need. And thy seed shall possess the gate of his foes, and the whole world is blessed wherever he goes, because thou hast obeyed my voice. The years had flown on the wings of grace since first she saw the Master's face. 127 years in all, Sarah answered the final call. In Kirjath Arba, which is Hebron today, in the land of Canaan, she passed away. Abraham came to mourn and to weep for the partner of promises he meant to keep. He stood up from before his dead and he spoke to the sons of Heth as the morning broke. I am a stranger, a sojourner here. Give me a place for the one I hold dear, a burying place that I may call my own, to lay my dead in the earth and the stone. The sons of Heth said, hear us, my Lord. Thou art a mighty prince by the word. In the choice of our sepulchres, bury thy dead. No man will withhold the ground for her bed. The field of Machpelah, the cave in the trees, a permanent home in the soft desert breeze. Not as a gift, but a price to be paid, where the mother of nations is finally laid. A witness of faith in the promised ground, where the hope of the future is surely found. Abraham bowed to the people of the land with the request and the silver in hand. Entreat for me Ephron, the son of Zohar, for the cave at the end of his field, near and far. For as much as it's worth, he shall have the pay for a possession of burial here today. Ephron said, the field is worth 400 shekels of silver. Between me and thee, what is that to deliver? Abraham weighed out the silver in sight, current money with the merchant shining and bright. 400 shekels for the field and the cave, and all the trees that the borderland gave. The field of Machpelah before Mamre's oak was made sure to Abraham as the witness spoke. The field of Machpelah, the cave in the trees, a permanent home in the soft desert breeze. Not as a gift, but a price to be paid, where the mother of nations is finally laid. A witness of faith in found. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the land of Canaan. The end of a beautiful life. The field was made sure. Abraham was old, well stricken in his years, but the blessing of the Lord had conquered all his fears. He called his eldest servant, the ruler of his store, to settle one great matter before the open door. Put thy hand beneath my thigh and swear a holy oath by the God of all the heavens and the earth's great growth. Thou shalt not take a wife for my son from this place, not from the Canaanites or the local race, but go unto my country, to my kindred far away, to find a bride for Isaac on this very day. The servant asked, what if she will not follow me? Must I bring thy son back to the land across the sea? Abraham said, beware, bring not my son back there. The Lord God of the heavens, who took me from the air, he shall send his angel to guide thy weary feet, and thou shalt find the woman that Isaac's meant to meet. 10 camels moving, laden with the gold, the story of a journey that's waiting to be told. Across the desert sands to the city of Nador, looking for the woman at the well's open door. With a prayer and a promise and a heart full of light, seeking out the one who is pleasing in his sight. Hey, 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 hey. By the well of water at the evening tide, when the women come to draw, he stepped aside. Oh Lord God of my master, send me good speed. Let the sign be clear for the servant in his need. The damsel who says, drink, and I will draw for thy camels too. Let her be the one that thou hast chosen to be true. Before he finished speaking, Rebecca came in sight, with her pitcher on her shoulder in the fading light. Very fair to look upon, a virgin, pure and sweet. She went down to the well on her nimble feet. He ran to meet her. Let me drink a little, pray. She said, drink, my Lord, in a kind and gentle way. Then she said, I'll draw for thy camels also now. Till they finished drinking, she made the holy vow. He gave her golden earrings, 2 bracelets for her hand. Whose daughter art thou? Is there room in thy land? She said, I am the daughter of Bethuel. There's room for thee to stay. The servant bowed his head and began to pray. Hey, hey! The years were full and the journey was long. The father of faith sang his final song. He took a wife named Keturah in his later day, and more sons were born along the way. Zimran and Jokshan made and Midian too, Ishbak and Shua, the family grew. Jokshan begat Sheba and Dedan's line, in the light of the desert by the grand design. The sons of Midian, Ephah and
Jennifer's name, Hanak, Abed, and Eldah came. All these were the children of Keturah's side, in the land of the east where the families bide. Hey! Abraham gave all he had to Isaac the heir, but to the sons of the concubines he showed his care. He gave them gifts while he yet lived in the light, and sent them eastward, away from Isaac's sight. Then Abraham gave up the ghost and he died in a good old age with the Lord by his side. 115 years, full of days, and finished with his earthly fears. The field of Machpelah, the cave in the ground, where the father and mother are finally found. Isaac and Ishmael stood side by side to bury the man who was the desert's guide. From the dust of the earth to the stars in the sky, the name of the faithful will never die. Now these are the years of Ishmael's life, 137 through the joy and strife. 12 princes were born according to their fame, each with a castle and each with a name. Nebaioth, the firstborn, Kedar and Abel, Mibsam and Mishma, the family was real. Duma and Massa, Hagar and Tamar's way, Jetzer, Naphish and Kedemah stay. They dwelt from Havilah unto Shur's gate, in the presence of their brethren, by the hand of fate. The field of Machpelah, the cave in the ground, where the father and mother are finally found. Isaac and Ishmael stood side by side to bury the man who was the desert's guide. From the dust of the earth to the stars in the sky, the name of the faithful will never die. Hey! Hey, 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 hey. And it came to pass, after Abraham was gone, God blessed his son Isaac by the well of Lahairoi. Another famine hit the hills and the plains, drying up the harvest and the winter rains. Not like the first one in the father's day, but Isaac had a choice for the path he'd stay. Hey! The Lord appeared and said, go not down, don't go to Egypt, stay in this town. Dwell in this land and I will be with thee. I'll bless thy house for the world to see. I'll perform the oath that I swore to thy dad, to give all these countries and make thy heart glad. I'll multiply thy seed like the stars on high. For Abraham obeyed and he didn't ask why. So Isaac dwelt in Gerar by the Philistine gate, but he feared for his life and the hand of fate. The man of the place asked of his wife, and he feared the beauty might cost him his life. She is my sister, was the word he spoke, afraid that the peace of the land might be broke. But after a long time the king looked down and saw Isaac sporting with the jewel of his crown. The king called Isaac, behold, she's thy wife. Why didst thou risk the peace of our life? I thought I might die for her sake, he replied. But Abimelech stood with the truth on his side. He that
toucheth this man or his wife today shall surely be put to death. He did say, under the shadow of the king's decree, the promise was safe for the family tree. Then Isaac sowed in that very same land, and received 100-fold from the Father's hand. The Lord blessed him great, and the man grew strong, moving and growing as he traveled along. He had flocks and herds and a great store of men, and the Philistines envied the power of him then. They stopped up the wells that the Father had made, filling with earth where the water had played. Go from us, the king did command, for thou art much mightier than our land. So Isaac departed to the valley of Gerar, searching for water near and far. Hey! Hey! Oh, 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 oh. Hey! 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 Oh, 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 oh. Hey! Isaac was old and his eyes were dim. The shadows of life were closing in. He called for his eldest, his hunter's son, to finish the task before the day was done. Behold, now I am old, I know not the day when the breath of my life will pass away. Take thy quiver and take thy bow, go out to the field where the wild things go. Bring me the venison, the meat that I love, that my soul may bless thee by the God above. But Rebekah was listening by the tented door, and she had a plan for the blessing in store. She spoke to Jacob, listen to me, fetch 2 good kids for the world to see. I'll make savory meat for thy father's taste, and thou shalt take it in the greatest of haste, that he may bless thee before he shall die. But Jacob looked up with a fearful eye. Behold, my brother is a hairy man, and I am smooth by the Father's plan. My father will feel me and see the deceit, and I'll bring a curse on my weary feet. Upon me be the curse, his mother did say, only obey my voice on this very day. She put Esau's clothes on her younger son, and the goatskins on his hands till the work was done. She put the skin on the smooth of his neck to keep the deception and the spirit in check. The voice is Jacob's, but the hands are the same, the hands of Esau in the hunter's name. Art thou my very son? The old man asked, in the middle of the trial and the holy task. I am, said Jacob, with the savory meat, bringing the blessing to his own 2 feet. The smell of the field is like the smell of the ground, where the blessing of the Lord is surely found. He came near and kissed him, and Isaac did smell the raiment of the field that he loved so well. God give thee of the dew of the heavens on high, and the fatness of the earth beneath the sky. Plenty of corn, plenty of wine, let people serve thee in the grand design. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let them bow down. Cursed be the curser, and blessed be the crown. The voice is Jacob's, but the hands are the same, the hands of Esau in the hunter's name. Art thou my very son? The old man asked, in the middle of the trial and the holy task. The smell of the field is like the smell of the ground,
Jacob left Beersheba, heading for the north. On a lonely journey, he was venturing forth. The sun went down on the desert sand as he found a place in the quiet land. He took a stone for a pillow that night to rest his head till the morning light. And he dreamed a dream of a ladder tall, reaching up to heaven over one and all. The angels of God were moving there, ascending and descending through the holy air. The Lord stood above it and he spoke his name. I am the God of the promise and the flame. The land where thou liest I will give to thee, and to thy seed for the world to see. Like the dust of the earth they shall spread and grow, to the west and the east where the rivers flow. I am with thee, I will keep thee in thy way. I will bring thee back on a brand new day. Jacob awaked out of his sleep with a holy secret he was meant to keep. Surely the Lord is in this place, he cried, and I knew it not, with a heart open wide. He was afraid and he said with a sigh, how dreadful is this place beneath the sky. This is none other but the house of God, the gate of heaven on the dusty sod. He rose up early in the morning light, took the stone that was his pillow in the night. He set it up for a pillar in the sand, and poured out oil with a steady hand. He called the name of that place Bethel, though loose was the name that the locals tell. Then Jacob vowed a vow to the Lord Most High, if God will be with me beneath the sky. The land where thou liest I will give to thee, and to thy seed for the world to see. If he gives me bread and the raiment to wear, and brings me home through the Father's care, then the Lord shall be my God indeed. And this stone a house for the holy seed. And of all that thou shalt give, I will surely give the tenth to thee, Bethel, the house of God. Jacob lifted up his feet and went his way to the land of the people of the east today. He looked and saw well in the open field, with 3 flocks of sheep by the waters yield. A great stone lay on the mouth of the well, where the shepherds gathered as the shadows fell. My brethren, whence be? Jacob asked the men, of Haran are we? They answered him then, know ye Laban the son of Nahor? He said, we know him. They replied, from the path they tread. Is he well? He is well, and behold his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep to the water. Jacob saw the stone and the shepherd standing by. It is yet high day, was the traveler's cry. Water the sheep and go feed them, he spoke. But they said, we cannot till the stone is broke, until the flocks be gathered and the stone is rolled away. Then we water the sheep at the end of the day. While he had spoke, Rachel came with the sheep, for she was a shepherdess, her father's flocks to keep. The stone is moving, the well is wide, with the strength of the promise on the inside. He rolled the stone from the well's open face, in the middle of the field, in a holy place. He watered the flock of his mother's brother, meeting the kin of his father and mother. Jacob kissed Rachel and he lifted up his voice. He wept for the moment and the family's choice. He told her he was the
son of Rebekah's line. In the light of the desert by the grand design, she ran to tell her father, and Laban heard the news of his sister's son with the dust upon his shoes. He ran to meet him, he embraced and he kissed, bringing him home to the family he'd missed. The stone is moving, the well is wide, with the strength of the promise on the inside. Surely thou art my bone and my flesh, Laban said. And Jacob stayed a month for the path they would tread. The journey was long, but the meeting was sweet. At the mouth of the well on his weary feet. In the land of the east, by the shepherd's well, the story of Rachel is beginning to tell. Rachel saw her sister's sons and envy filled her heart. She cried to Jacob, give me kids or let my life depart. But Jacob's anger kindled hot. He said, am I in God's place, who withheld the fruit of womb and turned away his face? So Rachel gave her handmaid Bilhah to her husband's side, that she may bear upon my knees and I may find my pride. Bilhah bore a son and Rachel said, God judged my case. She called him Dan, for he had looked upon her seeking face. Bilhah bore another son, a second for the tent. Rachel said, with great wrestlings I've wrestled and I've spent. I prevailed against my sister, so she called him Naphtali, as the competition grew beneath the Haran sky. Then Leah saw she'd stop, so she took Zilpah for her own and gave her to her husband till another son was shown. Zilpah bore a son and Leah cried, a troop is near. She called him Gad with a joyful heart for all to hear. Zilpah bore a second son and Leah said, I'm glad. The daughters now will call me blessed for the boy I had. She called him Asher in the middle of the strife, adding to the numbers of the patriarch's life. Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher too. The family is growing as the promises come through. Issachar and Zebulun and Dinah join the line. Through the struggle and the strife, the Lord's design is fine. From the mandrakes in the field to the mercy from above, God is building up a nation in the middle of the love. Reuben found the mandrakes and he brought them to his mother. Rachel asked for a portion, but they argued with each other. Is it small you took my husband, now you take my son's prize? But they made a trade that evening in the sisters' eyes. God hearkened unto Leah, and she bore a fifth son now. Issachar was the name for the hire of her vow. Then Zebulun was born, the sixth son for her part, and finally a daughter, Dinah, of her heart. Then God remembered Rachel, God hearkened to her cry. He opened up her womb beneath the Mesopotamian sky. She bore a son and said, God hath taken my reproach. No more standing in the shadows where the other tents encroach. She called him Joseph, saying, Lord, add one more to the day. The favorite son was born to walk along the promised way. Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher too. The family is growing as the promises come through. Issachar and Zebulun and Dinah join the line. Through the struggle and the strife, the Lord's design is fine. From the mandrakes in the field to the mercy from above, God is building up a nation in the middle of the Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad and Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Dinah.
The whisper started in the morning light. Jacob's taken everything in his sight. Laban's sons were murmuring in the shade about the wealth that the servant had made. Jacob saw that Laban's face had changed. The look of favor was now estranged. And the Lord said, return to thy father's door. I'll be with thee as I was before. He called his wives to the field to speak. Your father's countenance is not what I seek. He's changed my wages 10 times over the years, but God has kept me through all of my fears. Oh, 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 yeah. Rachel and Leah said, is there anything left? Are we not strangers of inheritance bereft? Whatever God has said to thee, do it now. And Jacob prepared for the journey and the vow. He set his sons and his wives on the camels high, and drove his cattle beneath the heron sky, while Laban was away to shear the sheep. Rachel took the idol she wanted to keep. The flight to Gilead, across the river wide, with the promise of the Father on the inside. 7 days Laban followed on the dusty track to bring the family and the riches back. But God came to Laban in a dream of the night. Speak not to Jacob whether wrong or right. Hey! They met in the mountain. Laban began to chide. Why didst thou flee and why didst thou hide? Thou hast stolen my daughters and my gods away. Jacob said, with whomever they're found, let them stay. Laban searched the tents, but Rachel was wise. She sat on the idols with a look in her eyes. I cannot rise, my lord, she said with the breath, hiding the teraphim from the search and the death. Then Jacob was wroth and he spoke his mind. 20 years I've served, and what do you find? The drought consumed me and the frost by night. I bore the loss when the beast did bite. Except the God of my father had been on my side. Now it sent me away with nothing but pride. Laban said, the daughters are mine, but what can I do? Let's make a covenant between me and you. The heap of witness, Gilead is the name. A boundary of stones for the family fame. Mizpah, the Lord watch between me and thee when we are absent and the other cannot see. Don't pass this heap for harm or for war. Let the God of the Father stand at the door. Sacrifice on the mountain height. Laban kissed his children and departed in the light. Mizpah, Mizpah. Jacob went on his way to the land of his birth, with the weight of the past in the dust of the earth. The angels of God met him there on the track. This is God's host, and there's no looking back. He called the place Mahanaim, the 2 camps of the Lord, then sent out the messengers with a peaceful word to Esau his brother in the land of Seir, to tell him his servant was finally near. The messengers returned with a shadow of dread. He's coming with 400 men. They said Jacob was afraid and he split into 2. If one camp is smitten, the other gets through. O God of my fathers, I am not worthy, he prayed, of the least of the mercies that thou hast displayed. With my staff I passed over this Jordan before, and now I am 2 bands at the river shore. Deliver me, Lord, from the hand of my kin, for I fear for the mothers and the children within. I will not let thee go until thou bless me, wrestling through the night for the world to see. The name is changing from the supplanter of old to the prince of the promise, courageous and bold, through the struggle and the dark, and the hollow of the thigh. The face of the Lord is beneath the night sky. He prepared a present to appease his brother's face, goats and sheep and camels in a silence and gloom, when a man came and wrestled in the midnight room. They struggled till the breaking of the morning light, and he touched the thigh in the middle of the fight. Let me go, for the day breaketh, the stranger cried. But Jacob held fast with the spirit inside. What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. Thy name shall be Israel, for the path thou hast trod. As a prince hast thou power with God and with men. And he blessed the man in the valley right then. Jacob asked the name, but the secret was kept, while the sun rose high and the darkness was swept. I will not let thee go until thou bless me, wrestling through the night for the world to see. The name is changing from the supplanter of old to the prince of the promise, courageous and bold. Through the struggle and the dark and the hollow of the thigh, the face of the Lord is beneath the night sky. He called the place Peniel. I have seen God face to face. He halted on his thigh in the light of the grace. Israel, Israel. He put the handmaids first, then Leah's children in the line, and Rachel with her Joseph by the Father's great design. Hey, hey! Hey! He passed before them all and bowed 7 times to the ground, until he reached his brother, and a holy peace was found. Then Esau ran to meet him, and he took him in his arms. He fell upon his neck, away from all the old alarms. They kissed and they wept in the middle of the field. The years of the bitterness were finally forced to yield. Reunion in the valley, mercy in the sand, the heart of the hunter and the prince of the land. Who are these with thee was the question of the day. The children God hath given was the only thing to say. From the bowing to the weeping, from the shadow to the light, the morning of the peace is shining beautiful and bright. The handmaids and their children bowed, and Leah bowed as well. Then Joseph and his mother came to tell the story. They tell, Esau said, what meanest thou by all this? Drove I met to find grace in thy sight, so my brother won't forget. I have enough, my brother, keep that which is thine own. But Jacob said, I pray thee, let the favor now be shown. Take my blessing, I pray thee, that is brought to thee today, because God hath dealt graciously in a wonderful way. He urged him till he took it, and the covenant was sealed with the bounty of the promise in the middle of the field. Let us take our journey, Esau said with a smile. But Jacob said, I'll follow at a slower pace a while. The children are tender, and the flocks are with the young. If I overdrive them once, then the song will not be sung. Pass over before me, and I'll lead on softly now, until I come to Seir to fulfill the holy vow. So Esau went his way to the mountains of the south.
with the words of the reconciliation in his mouth. Reunion in the valley, mercy in the sand, the heart of the hunter and the prince of the land. Who are these with thee was the question of the day. The children God hath given was the only thing to say. From the bowing to the weeping, from the shadow to the light, the morning of the peace is shining beautiful and bright. Jacob came to Succoth, built a house and boots, then arrived at Shechem in the land of the truce. He built an altar there, El Elohi Israel, the God of Israel. Hey! Dinah went out to see the daughters of the land, a daughter of Leah in the Shechem sand. Shechem saw her, the son of the prince of the place, and he took her away in a moment of disgrace. He defiled her there, but his soul was tied to the damsel he wanted to be by his side. He spoke kindly to her, he loved her indeed, and he went to his father to tell him his need. Get me this damsel to wife was the cry under the heat of the Canaanite sky. But Jacob had heard that his daughter was stained, and he held his peace while his sons remained. The sons came in from the field and were wroth, for a folly was wrought in the Israelite cloth. Hamor the Hivite came out to the gate to talk of a marriage and a family state. The soul of my son longeth for her, he said, make ye marriages with us and share in our bread. Dwell in the land and let the trade be free. But the sons of the promise had a different decree. The price of the sister, the mark of the sign, in the middle of the city, in the middle of the line. We cannot give her to one not circumcised, for that is a reproach in our Father's eyes. They spoke it deceitfully with a sword in the mind, while the men of the city were left to be blind. Hamor and Shechem were pleased with the word. They told every man what the brothers had heard. These men are peaceable, let them dwell here. Let us be one people without any fear. So every man who went out of the gate was circumcised there for the Shechemite fate. But on the third day, when the pain was so deep, the brothers of Dinah had a promise to keep. Simeon and Levi with a sword in each hand came upon the city in the quiet of the land. They slew every male, they slew Hamor too, and took back the sister as they traveled through. They spoiled the city of its sheep and its gold, for the wrong that was done as the story is told. They took all the little ones and the wives away in the fire of the vengeance on that bloody day. The price of the sister, the mark of the sign, in the middle of the city, in the middle of the line. They spoke it deceitfully with a sword in the mind, while the men of the city were left to be blind. The sword was the answer for the pride and the stain. In the middle of the sorrow, in the middle of the rain, Jacob said to Simeon and Levi that day, ye have troubled me now in a terrible way, to make me to stink among the folks of the land. I am few in number, and we cannot stand. But they said, should he deal with our sister as with an harlot? The city was silent. Oh, oh, oh. Whoa. God said to Jacob, arise and go back to Bethel where the visions flow. Dwell there and build an altar to me, who appeared when thou from thy brother didst flee.
Jacob said to his house and all that were near, put away the strange gods and cast out the fear. Be clean and change your garments today, for we're going to Bethel to worship and pray. I'll build an altar to the God of my need, who answered in the day when I suffered indeed. They gave him the idols and the earrings they wore, and he hid them under the oak on the Shechemite floor. They journeyed along and the terror of God fell on the cities that walked on the sod. No man pursued them, no man would dare, for the power of the Father was thick in the air. Hey! He came to loose to Bethel's own ground and built an altar where the mercy was found. He called it El Bethel, the God of the place where he first saw the light of the sovereign face. Back to Bethel, the house of the King, where the voices of praise and the promises ring. Thy name is Jacob, but it shall not be so. Israel is thy name wherever thou go. From the pillar of stone to the oil and the wine, the blessing is sealed in the promise divine. Hey! Now Deborah died, the nurse of the past, under the oak where the shadows were cast. And God appeared to Israel again, confirming the covenant over the plain. I am God Almighty, be fruitful and grow. Nations and kings from thy body shall flow. The land I gave Abraham and Isaac thy sire, to thee and thy seed is the heart of desire. They journeyed from Bethel with Ephrath in sight, when Rachel went into the labor of night. The labor was hard, but the midwife did cry, fear not, for a son is now standing by. With her last breath she called him Ben-Oni, but the father said Benjamin, his son and his glory. She was buried in the way to the Bethlehem gate, and Israel set a pillar to mark her fate. Back to Bethel, the house of the King, where the voices of praise and the promises ring. 12 sons of the promise, a nation reborn in the light of the hope, in the break of the morn. From the sorrow of death to the promise of life, the Lord is the shield in the middle of strife. Jacob came to Isaac at Hebron's old tree, where Abraham stayed in the land of the free. Isaac was 180 years, full of days and finished with fears. He gave up the ghost and he died in the light, and his sons buried him in the Father's sight. 180 years. Now these are the generations of the hunter's son, whose life in the mountains of Edom had begun. Esau is Edom, the father of the race, who found in Mount Seir a permanent place. Hey, hey. He took his wives from the Canaanite land, Ada and Oholibamah by his own hand, and Bashemath, the daughter of Ishmael's line, to build up a house and a family design. Ada bore Eliphaz, the first of his strength, and Bashemath bore Reuel through the journey's length. Oholibamah bore Jush, Jalam, and Korah, in the land of the promise before the new era. Hey, hey! Esau took his cattle and his substance and gold, and everything he gathered as the story is told. He went into a country away from Jacob's face, for the land was too small for the two of them to space. Their riches were more than the ground could sustain. So Esau dwelt in Seir, away from the plain, in the rugged red mountains, in the caves of the stone. He built up a kingdom and a house of his own. The dukes of Edom, the kings of the hill, working and building by the hunter's will. Hey! From Taman to Zepho, from Kenas to Gatam, the line of the brothers, the sons of the man, a nation of power in the mountains of red, in the land of the Seir, where the giants once tread. Hey, 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 hey! These are the dukes that came of the line: Duke Tim and Duke Omar and Zepho's design, Duke Kenaz and Korah and Gatam and Amalek, the sons of Eliphaz, whom the father did check, and the sons of Reuel, Duke Nahath and Zerah, Shammah and Mizah in the Edomite era. These were the sons of the wives of the man, the dukes of the desert and the master plan. Before there was a king in the Israelite land, there were kings reigning over the Edomite sand: Bela and Jobab and Husham the great, Hadad and Samlah in the kingdom of faith. Saul and Balanan and Hagar was the last, a history of rulers from the days of the past, in their habitations in the land of their pride, the dukes of the red land, side by side. The dukes of Edom, the kings of the hill, working and building by the hunter's will. Hey! From Taman to Zepho, from Kenas to Gatam, the line of the brothers, the sons of the man, a nation of power in the mountains of red, in the land of the Seir, where the giants once tread. Esau is Edom, the father of the red, the dukes and the kings, the story is spread. Mount Seir, Mount Seir. Jacob dwelt in the land where his father was a guest. Before his favorite son, there was little time for rest. At 17 years old, Joseph was out in the field with the sons of his father's wives, before the truth was revealed. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his other sons, because he was the child of his old age, the chosen one. He made him a coat of many colors, vibrant and bright, a royal kind of garment in the brothers' bitter sight. They saw that their father loved him most of all the crew, and they couldn't speak peaceably, for the jealousy grew. Joseph dreamed a dream and he told it to them there. We were binding sheaves together in the field in open air. My sheaf arose and stood upright, while yours stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf, was the dreamer's shout. They hated him yet more. Shout thou, reign over us indeed. Then he dreamed another dream for the brothers' ears to heed. The coat of many colors, the dreamer and his stars, a story starting in a pit behind the sibling bars. The sun, the moon, and 11 stars bow down to his face, in the middle of the envy, in the middle of the race. What shall become of his dreams? They whispered in the shade, while the plan to stop the dreamer was secretly being made. They went to feed the flock in Shechem. Israel sent him out to see if it be well with them, without a single doubt. He found them in Dothan and they saw him from afar. Behold, this dreamer coming like a falling bitter star. Let us slay him and cast him in some pit, was the cry. But Reuben said, shed no blood, let him live and not die. We meant to rid him from their hands and bring him home again.
on the dreamer of the plain. They stripped him of his coat, the one of many hues, and cast him in an empty pit with nothing left to lose. Then a company of Ishmaelites came riding through the land with spices and with balm by the Father's hidden hand. Judah said, what profit is it if we slay our brother here? Let's sell him to the merchants and keep our conscience clear. For 20 pieces of silver they sold the boy away, and the dreamer headed south on a dark and dusty day. The coat of many colors, the dreamer and his stars. A story starting in a pit behind the sibling bars. The sun, the moon, and 11 stars bow down to his face. In the middle of the envy, in the middle of the race, what shall become of his dreams? They whispered in the shade. While the plan to stop the dreamer was secretly being made, they killed a kid and dipped the coat in the crimson of the blood. This have we found, they told their dad, while he stood within the mud. Jacob rent his clothes and mourned for many days. I will go down to the grave in my sorrow, he says. But Joseph was in Egypt, sold to Potiphar's hand. The dream is still alive. At that time Judah went down from his kin, and a brand new story was about to begin. He turned to a friend, an Adulamite man, and started a house by his own design and plan. He saw a daughter of a man named Shua, and he took her to wife in the land of the pure. Was the firstborn, then Onan came along, and Shelah was the third in the family song. But was wicked in the sight of the Lord, so his life was taken by the Spirit's sword. Tamar was left as a widow in the gate, waiting on the promise and the hand of fate. Judah said to Tamar, go dwell at thy home until Shelah be grown. No more to roam. But the days were many and the promise was slow, and Shelah was grown, but the word didn't go. When Judah went up to shear his sheep in the sun, Tamar saw the work that had to be done. She put off her widow's clothes and covered her face, waiting by the way in a hidden place. The signet and the bracelets, the staff in the hand, a pledge of the truth in the middle of the land. What looked like a shadow was a righteous plea to keep the line moving for the family tree. Though the road was dusty and the path was dim, she held the tokens that belonged to him. Judah saw her by the gate and he turned aside, not knowing his daughter was the one inside. What wilt thou give me? Was the question she asked, and he promised the kid for the hidden task. Give me a pledge, she said, till it's sent to me. So he gave her the signet for the world to see, the bracelets and the staff from his own right hand. Then he went on his way through the desert land. 3 months later the word came to his ear, Tamar is with child and the judgment was near. Bring her forth and burn her, was the father's cry, but she sent the tokens as the men drew nigh. By the men whose these are, I am with child, discern I pray thee.
sons that belong to him. Perez and Zara, the twins were born. The line was preserved in the light of the morn. Perez, the breach is made, the story continues. Hey! 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 Joseph was brought down to Egypt's golden sand, sold to Potiphar, an officer of the land, an Egyptian captain of the guard in the gate. But the Lord was with Joseph in his lowly state. He was a prosperous man in his master's sight, and the blessing of the Lord made everything right. Potiphar saw that the Lord was near, and he held a young Hebrew incredibly dear. He made him the overseer, ruler of the store, and the Lord blessed the house more than ever before. In the field and the home, the prosperity grew, because of the servant who was faithful and true. Now Joseph was goodly and well-favored too, and the master's wife had a different view. Lie with me, she whispered day after day, but Joseph turned his heart and his footsteps away. Behold, my master hath committed all to my hand, except for thee, for thou art his wife in the land. How then can I do this great wickedness now, and sin against God and the holy vow? Integrity in Egypt, fleeing from the snare, with the presence of the Father in the desert air. Though the garment was taken and the lie was told, the heart of the servant is as pure as the gold. From the house to the prison, from the dark to the light, the Lord is the shield in the middle of the fight. Hey, hey, hey. One day he went in to do his daily task, and she caught his garment for the thing she would ask. But he left it in her hand and he fled to the street, choosing the truth for his weary feet. She called to the men, see the Hebrew he brought. He came in to mock me, was the web that she wrought. When the master heard the words, his anger did burn, and the wheels of the prison began to turn. They put him in the place where the king's prison is bound, but even in the dungeon the mercy was found. The Lord was with Joseph and showed him his grace, giving him favor in that lonely place. The keeper of the prison committed to his hand all the prisoners there in the Egyptian land. Because the Lord was with him, whatever he did, the light of the promise could never be hid. Integrity in Egypt, fleeing from the snare, with the presence of the Father in the desert air. Though the garment was taken and the lie was told, the heart of the servant is as pure as the gold. From the house to the prison, from the dark to the light, the Lord is the shield in the middle of the fight. He didn't look back, he didn't complain, he didn't complain. The Lord made it prosper in the sun and the rain. Genesis 39. The dream is moving on. It came to pass after these things were done, 2 officers of Egypt under the sun, the butler and the baker, had offended the king, and the prison doors open with a heavy swing. They were put in the ward in the captain's house, where Joseph was bound quiet as a mouse. The captain of the guard charged him with the pair, and they stayed for a season in the prison air. They dreamed a dream, both of them in one night, a vision of the shadows and the morning light. When Joseph came in, he saw their faces sad, and asked why the spirit of the day was so bad. We have dreamed a dream, they said with a sigh, and there is no interpreter standing nearby. Joseph said, do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me them, I pray you, on this prison sod. The chief butler spoke of a vine in his sight, with 3 blooming branches in the holy light. Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and the grapes I did take to press them for the king, for the kingdom's sake. 3 branches, 3 days, the message is clear. The day of thy restoration is finally
the Hebrew land, and done nothing wrong in the Egyptian sand. When the baker saw the meaning was good and was right, he said, I had 3 white baskets in my sight. On my head they were sitting, and in the top one were all baked meats for Pharaoh under the sun. But the birds of the air came and ate from the tray. Then Joseph had a word that he needed to say. The 3 baskets are 3 days, and within that time Pharaoh shall hang thee for the weight of thy crime. The 3rd day arrived, it was Pharaoh's birth. He made a great feast for the men of the earth. He lifted up the heads of the officers there, just as Joseph had spoken in the prison air. He restored the chief butler to his office and placed to give the king the cup with a smile on his face. But the baker was hanged on the gallows so high, as the birds of the heavens flew through the sky. 3 branches, 3 days, the message is clear. The day of thy restoration is finally near. Though the man was forgotten in the middle of the night, the Lord is still working for the victory of light. From the cup to the basket, from the prison to the goal, the secrets of the Father are written on the soul. Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forget him. 2 full years would pass in the silence of the cell. Genesis 40. Two full years had passed away in the silence of the cell, but the timing of the Father was working very well. Pharaoh dreamed a dream as he stood beside the Nile, and the magicians of Egypt couldn't find the secret file. Behold, 7 kine, fat and fair to see, came up from the river, grazing peacefully. Then 7 other kine, poor and lean of bone, came and ate the fat ones till the fat ones were gone. Pharaoh woke and slept, and he dreamed once again. 7 ears of corn, full and good upon the plain. Then 7 thin ears, blasted by the east wind's breath, devoured the full ears in a harvest of death. The spirit was troubled and the wise men were blind. No one could interpret the secrets of the mind. Then the chief butler spoke, I remember my fault. The man in the prison, in the captain's vault. He told us our dreams and every word came true. So they sent for the Hebrew to see the matter through. He shaved and changed his clothes from the dungeon to the floor, standing in the presence of the king's open door. Interpretations belong to the Lord on high. God shall give an answer for the king nearby. 7 years of plenty and 7 years of dearth. The hand of the Father is moving on the earth. From the pit to the palace, from the iron to the gold, the dreamer is the leader that the visions foretold. The dream is one, said Joseph to the king. God is showing Pharaoh what the coming days will bring. Gather all the food while the years are full and great, to keep the land alive when the famine's at the gate. Look for a man both discreet and very wise, to rule over the storehouses before the harvest dies. Pharaoh looked at Joseph, can we find such a one in whom the spirit stays beneath the Egyptian sun? For as much as God hath showed thee all this plan, there is none so discreet as the wisdom of this man. Thou shalt be over my house, and the people shall obey. Only on the throne will I be greater today. He took the signet ring and he put it on his hand. Investors of fine linen, the ruler of the land, a gold chain on his neck and the chariot of state. Bow the knee was the cry for the master of the fate. In Interpretations belong to the Lord on high. God shall give an answer for the king nearby. 7 years of plenty and 7 years of dearth. The hand of the Father is moving on the earth. From the pit to the palace, from the iron to the gold, the dreamer is the leader that the visions foretold. The provider of life, he was 30 years old when he took a bride and wife. Asenath was her name, Manasseh and Ephraim. The famine has started, the world comes to him. Now Jacob saw that there was corn in the Egyptian land. He said to his sons, why look ye one upon another's hand? I have heard there is life in the south country today. Go down and buy for us that we may live and stay. 10 brothers of Joseph went down to buy the grain, but Benjamin stayed home away from the travel and the rain, lest peradventure mischief befall him. The father said, while the hunger of the famine was the thing they had to dread, they came among the many who sought the ruler's face. For the famine was sore across the whole of the desert space. Now Joseph was the governor, the lord of all the store, and his brethren came and bowed their faces to the floor. He knew them right away, but he made himself a stranger. He spoke to them roughly in a voice of hidden danger. Whence come ye, he asked, and they said, from Canaan's side. But Joseph remembered the dreams that the years could never hide. Ye are spies, he cried, to see the nakedness of the land. But they said, nay, my lord, we are 12 by the Father's hand. One is not, and the youngest is with our father today. But Joseph put them in the ward for 3 days to stay. The dreams of the sheaves are standing tall and true in the middle of the palace, in the middle of the view. On the 3rd day he said, this do and live, for I fear God. If ye be true men, let one stay on this Egyptian side. Go carry corn for the famine of your houses and your kin, but bring your youngest brother to prove the truth within. They said to one another, we are verily guilty now concerning our brother when we ignored his holy vow. Reuben said, spoke I not to you? Do not sin against the child. And Joseph turned and wept, for his heart was no longer mild. He took Simeon from them and he bound him in their sight, then commanded their sacks be filled before the morning light. He put every man's money back in the mouth of the sack. But with provision for the journey as they started on the track, when one opened his bag to give his ass some meat, he saw the bundle of silver by his weary, dusty feet. Their hearts failed within them and they trembled in the way. What is this that God hath done to us today? Ye are spies, he cried, to see the nakedness of the land. But they said, nay, my lord, we are 12 by the Father's hand. One is not, and the youngest is with our father today. But Joseph put them in the ward for 3 days to stay. The dreams of the sheaves are standing tall and true in the middle of the palace, in the middle of the view. They told it all to Jacob, the man, the lord of the land. Me have ye bereaved of my children, was the cry of the old man's hand. Joseph is not, Simeon is not. All these things are against me, but the grain was in the sacks. famine was sore in the land of the vine, and they'd eaten the corn of the last design. Jacob said, "Go again, buy us a little meat," but the warning of the ruler was making them retreat. Hey! Judah spoke up, the man did solemnly swear, "You shall not see my face if your brother isn't there. If thou wilt send him, we will go down today, but if not, we will surely stay away." Israel cried, "Wherefore dealt ye so ill with me? To tell the man you had a brother for the world to see." The man asked straightly of our state and our kin, and the struggle for the youngest was about to begin. Judah said to his father, "Send the lad with my hand, that we may live and not die in this weary land. I will be surety for him of my hand. Thou shalt require, if I bring him not back, let the blame be my fire." Except we had lingered, we'd have returned twice. So Jacob gave in at a heavy, heavy price. "Take the best fruits of the land in your vessels today. Honey, spices, and myrrh to send on the way. Double money in the hand, gifts from the promised land. Walking back to Egypt, across the desert sand. God Almighty, give you mercy before the man's face. In the middle of the palace, in the middle of the space. From the nuts and the almonds to the silver in the sack, the brothers and the youngest are on the dusty track. Joseph saw Benjamin, and he said to his man, "Bring these men home and prepare the master plan. Slay and make ready, for they shall dine with me." But the brothers were afraid of what the end might be. "Because of the money in our sacks we are brought." But the steward said, "Peace, for the peace is what I've sought. Your God gave you treasure, I had your silver before." And he brought Simeon out to the open door. Joseph came home, and they brought him the prize, bowing to the earth before his searching eyes. "Is your father well?" the old man of whom he spoke, and the weight of the emotion finally broke. He saw his mother's son, Benjamin, his pride, and he sought a place to weep, and he hurried inside. He washed his face and came out to the feast, from the greatest of the brothers to the very, very least. Woo! Double money in the hand, hey! Gifts from the promised land. Walking back to Egypt, across the desert sand. God Almighty, give you mercy before the man's face. In the middle of the palace, in the middle of the space. From the nuts and the almonds to the silver in the sack, the brothers and the youngest are on the dusty track. Woo! They sat before him, from the firstborn to the youth. They marveled at the order and the hidden holy truth. Benjamin's mess was 5 times as great. They drank and were merry in the turning of the fate. Genesis 43. Joseph commanded the steward of his house, "Fill the men's sacks and be quiet as a mouse. Put every man's money in the mouth of his bag, and my silver cup in the sack of the youngest. Don't lag." As soon as the morning was light on the hill, the men were sent off by the ruler's own will. But when they were gone just a little way out, Joseph said, "Follow!" and let out a shout. "Wherefore have ye rewarded evil for good? The cup of my Lord, as you understood, is not this the one whereby he divines?" And the brothers were caught in the master's designs. "God forbid," they cried, "that we do such a thing. The money we found we were careful to bring. With whomever the cup is found, let him die, and we will be bondmen beneath the blue sky." He searched from the eldest and down to the youth, until the dark shadow revealed the hard truth. The cup was found in Benjamin's sack, and they rent their clothes as they turned themselves back. The silver cup, the hidden sign, testing the hearts in the middle of the line. Will they leave the brother? Will they run away? Or will they stand
before Joseph's face.
What shall we say in this terrible place?
God hath found out the iniquity of your band. But Judah stood up with a trembling hand. He told of the father, the old man at home, whose life was bound up in the lad meant to roam. His brother is dead, he is left all alone. If I bring him not back, my father is gone. Now therefore I pray thee, let thy servant stay as a bondman to my Lord, while the lad goes his way. For how shall I go to my father today, if the lad be not with me in a sorrowful way? Lest I see the evil that shall come on his head. And Judah stood firm in the place of the dread. He offered his life for the life of the boy, trading his freedom for the old man's joy. The silver cup, the hidden sign, testing the hearts in the middle of the line. Will they leave the brother? Will they run away? Or will they stand together on this heavy day? From the pit of the past to the palace of the king, the melody of mercy is the song that we sing. Judah stood as surety. The test was finally passed. The brothers didn't leave him. The love was going to last. Joseph could not refrain himself. The secret's coming out. Genesis 44. Joseph could not refrain himself before the standing crowd. He cried, 'cause every man to go, and then he wept aloud. The Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard the heavy sound, as the secret of the ages was finally unbound. I am Joseph, he declared, does my father yet live? But his brethren could not answer for the fear they had to give. They were troubled at his presence, but he said, come near to me. I am Joseph, your own brother, whom you sold across the sea. Now be not grieved or angry that you sold me to this place, for God did send me here before to save the human race. 2 years the famine's been, and 5 are yet to come. No earring and no harvest for the father or the son. God sent me here before you to preserve a remnant line, to save your lives by a great deliverance, holy and divine. It was not you who sent me here, but God who made the call to make me father to the king and Lord over it all. Go tell my father, tell him of my fame. The dreamer is alive in the Father's holy name. Haste ye and go up, bring him down to me today, and he shall dwell in Goshen's land a little way away. The weeping and the kissing and the mercy in the room, the light of the reunion has chased away the gloom. He fell on Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept too. He kissed all of his brethren till the old was made as new. That the fame was heard in Pharaoh's house, Joseph's kin is here, and it pleased the king and all his lords to hold the family dear. Take wagons from the land of Egypt for your little ones, and bring your father and your wives and all your many sons. He gave them changes of raiment, and to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver, from the master to the slave. 10 asses laden with the good, and 10 with corn and bread. See that ye fall not out by the way, was the last thing that he said. They went up out of Egypt, and to Canaan's land they came, to tell the aging Israel The dreamer is alive in the Father's holy name. Haste ye and go up, bring him down to me today, and he shall dwell in Goshen's land a little way away. The weeping and the kissing and the mercy in the room, the light of the reunion has chased away the gloom. Joseph is yet alive, he is governor of the land. Jacob's heart did faint at the word within his hand, but when he saw the wagons, his spirit did revive. It is enough, my son is yet alive. Genesis 45. Hey! Woo! Israel took his journey with all that he had in hand, and came to Beersheba, the border of the land. He offered sacrifices to the God of Isaac's way, and the Lord spoke in the visions before the break of day. Jacob, Jacob, and he answered, here am I. I am God, the God of thy father, beneath the desert sky. Fear not to go down to Egypt, for I will make of thee a great and mighty nation for the whole world to see. I'll go down with thee to Egypt, and I will bring thee back, and Joseph's hand shall close thine eyes upon the final track. Jacob rose from Beersheba, and the wagons moved along, with the little ones and wives in a massive family throng. Leah's sons and daughters, 33 were in the count. From Reuben down to Dinah, the numbers started to mount. Zilpah, 16 children, the sons of Gad and Asher too. The family of the promise was coming into view. The 70 souls into the Egyptian sun. The journey of the fathers has only just begun. Fear not to go down, for the Lord is in the way, leading every footstep to a brand new day. From the wells of the south to the fertile Goshen ground, the blessing of the covenant is surely being found. Woo! Rachel's sons were Joseph and Benjamin the youth, with the 14 of her lineage in the spirit and the truth. Bilhah, 7 children, the sons of Dan and Naphtali, all the souls of Jacob's house beneath the southern sky. 70 were the numbers of the band that came to dwell together in the Pharaonic land. He sent Judah before him to show the way to Goshen's gate, and Joseph made his chariot ready. He couldn't even wait. He went up to meet his father, and he fell upon his neck and wept a good long while, with no emotion left to check. Israel said to Joseph, now let me die in peace, since I have seen thy face, and my sorrows find release. The 70 souls into the Egyptian sun, the journey of the fathers has only just begun. Fear not to go down, for the Lord is in the way, leading every footstep to a brand new day. From the wells of the south to the fertile Goshen ground, the blessing of the covenant is surely being found. Yeah. Ye shall say thy servant's trade hath been about the sheep, for every shepherd is an abomination that the Egyptians keep. So they settled in the land of Goshen. Genesis 46. Whoa, 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 whoa. Joseph went and told the king, my father's at the gate, with their flocks and their herds and their family state. He took 5 of his brethren to stand before the Hebrews and their purpose known. Pharaoh asked the brethren, "What is your occupation?" "Thy servants are shepherds," was the word of the nation. "To sojourn in the land we have come for a while, for the famine is sore by the banks of the Nile." Pharaoh said to Joseph, "The land is before thee, in the best of the ground. Let them dwell in their glory in the land of Goshen. Let the shepherds abide and make them rulers of my cattle." The king did decide. Then Joseph brought his father to stand before the king, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh for the peace he did bring. "How old art thou?" asked the Lord of the land, and Jacob answered with a weary, steady hand, that the days of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Few and evil they've been, through the trials and the fears. I have not attained to the years of my sires. Then he blessed the king again, and from the court he retires. The land of Ramesses, the best of the ground, where the food and the peace and the mercy are found. While the famine was heavy and the bread was all gone, the house of the Father was safe in the dawn. From the silver to the cattle, to the land and the seed, Joseph provided for the family's need. The money failed in Egypt and the Canaanite shore. "Give us bread," cried the people at the governor's door. "Give your cattle," said Joseph, "and I'll give you the grain." Then he bought all the land for the Pharaoh's domain. Only the land of the priest did he not take away, as the people became servants on that heavy day. "Lo, here is seed for you, sow the land and find rest, but a fifth part is Pharaoh's by the ruler's request." Israel dwelt in Egypt, in the country of Goshen. They had possessions and they grew like the ocean. Jacob lived 17 years in the sun, until the days of his journey were almost done. He called for his son, for his Joseph so dear. "Put thy hand under my thigh, for the end is now near. Swear that thou wilt not bury me here in this sand, but carry me back to my father's own land. The land of Ramesses, the best of the ground, where the food and the peace and the mercy are found. While the famine was heavy and the bread was all gone, the house of the Father was safe in the dawn. The promise is calling, the oath has been sworn, to the land of the promise, where the fathers were born. And Joseph sware unto him, and Israel bowed himself upon the bed's head, ready for the final blessing. Genesis 47. It came to pass after these things were told, that Joseph heard his father was growing weak and old. He took his 2 sons, Manasseh and the youth, to see the aging patriarch and hear the final truth. Hey! Israel strengthened himself and sat upon the bed. God Almighty appeared to me at Luz. He softly said, he blessed me there and promised that a multitude would grow in the land of the inheritance, that all the world would know. And now thy 2 sons, born in this Egyptian place, are mine as Reuben and Simeon, by the Father's grace. They shall be called by my name, and the seed shall be their own. In the middle of the heritage, before the seeds
seeds are sown. Hey! Now the eyes of Israel were dim because of age, but he saw the boys of Joseph on the final history page. I had not thought to see thy face, but God had shown me more. He's shown me even thy seed was the word the old man bore. Joseph brought them from his knees and bowed down to the earth to receive the holy blessing of the promise and the birth. The cross hands, the blessing of the King, where the wisdom of the Spirit makes the heavy heart to sing. Not by the firstborn and not by the pride, but by the hand of the Father on the inside. Ephraim and Manasseh under the holy sign, growing to a multitude in the master plan divine. Joseph took them by the hand, the right and the left, but Israel crossed his arms, of the natural sight bereft. He put his right hand on the younger, on Ephraim's head, and his left hand on Manasseh as the holy words were said. Joseph tried to move the hand, not so, my father, see, this is the firstborn, let the right hand on him be. But Israel refused, I know it, my son, I know, he shall be great, but the younger shall yet greater grow. The cross hands, the blessing of the King, where the wisdom of the Spirit makes the heavy heart to sing. Not by the firstborn and not by the pride, but by the hand of the Father on the inside. Ephraim and Manasseh under the holy sign, growing to a multitude in the master plan divine. I die, said Israel, but God shall be with you and bring you to the land that is holy and is true. He gave to Joseph one portion above his kin, the field he took from the Amorite, away from the din, the blessing of the sons. Genesis 48. Gather yourselves, ye sons of the man, to hear the last words of the master plan. Whoa. Reuben, my firstborn, my might and my prime, but unstable as water in the middle of time. Thou shalt not excel, for the bed thou hast defiled. Then he turned to the brothers whose spirits were wild. Simeon and Levi are instruments of pain. Cursed be their anger and the men they have slain. I will divide them in the Israelite land and scatter their houses by the Father's own hand. Judah, thy brethren shall praise thy name, thy hand on the neck of the foe and the shame. Like a lion's whelp, who shall rouse him today? The scepter shall never depart or decay, until Shiloh come, and the people shall bring their gathering to him as the lion and king, binding his foal to the choice of the vine, in the milk and the clothes and the washing of wine. The gathering of the tribes, the prophecy told, the words of the Father as the future unfolds. From the sea to the mountains, from the wolf to the bow, the history of Israel is starting right now. 12 sons of the promise in a line for the ages, written on the hearts and the history pages. Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea. Issachar's as strong as quiet as can be. Dan shall judge his people like a serpent in the way. Gad shall overcome in the heat of the day. Asher's bread is fat and the royal dainties flow. Naphtali's a hind where the goodly words grow. Joseph
Joseph is a fruitful bough by the well, whose branches run over the wall and the dell. The archers have grieved him and shot from the side, but the arms of his hands were made strong to abide. By the God of thy father, who shall help thee indeed, with the blessings of heaven and the depths of the sea. The blessings of thy father have prevailed above all on the head of the one who was chosen to call the gathering of the tribes. The prophecy told the words of the Father as the future unfolds. From the sea to the mountains, from the wolf to the bough, the history of Israel is starting right now. 12 sons of the promise in a line for the ages, written on the hearts and the history pages. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf in the night. He charged them to bury him in the Father's sight. In the cave of Machpelah, with Abraham and Sarah, with Isaac and Rebekah and Leah in that era, he gathered up his feet and he gave up the ghost. Genesis 49. Joseph fell upon his father's face and wept and kissed him there. He commanded the physicians to fulfill the morning prayer. 40 days for the embalming, 70 days for the cry, while the Egyptian nation mourned beneath the southern sky. Joseph spoke to Pharaoh's house, "If I have found grace in your sight, let me go and bury my father in the cave of the morning light." He made me swear an oath to him before he passed away, to lay him in the land of Canaan on this final day. Pharaoh said, "Go up in peace and do as thou hast sworn." And a great and mighty company rose up in the early morn. The servants and the elders and the house of Joseph went, with chariots and with horsemen from the royal Egyptian tent. They came to the threshing floor of Atad by the Jordan side, and mourned with a great lamentation where the shadows used to hide. "This is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians," the people said, as they laid the patriarch of Israel in his final bed. "What ye thought for evil, God meant it for good, to save much people alive, as it is understood. From the pit to the palace, from the end to the start, the providence of the Father is written on the heart. Fear not, for I will nourish you and all your little ones in the light of the promise, in the circle of the sons." When the father was dead, the brothers feared in the shade. "Peradventure Joseph will hate us for the choices we made." They sent a word and fell before him, "We are thy servants now." But Joseph wept to hear the words and the breaking of the vow. "Am I in the place of God?" he asked with a steady mind. "Ye thought evil against me, but the Father was being kind." Joseph dwelt in Egypt, he and his father's house, seeing the third generation as quiet as a mouse. The children of Machir and Ephraim were brought up on his knee. 110 years of the grace for the world to see. He said, "I die, and God will surely visit you again, and bring you to the land of the fathers, out of the Egyptian plain. What ye thought for evil, God meant it for good, to save much people alive, as it is understood. From the pit to the palace, from the end to the start, the providence of the Father is written on the heart. Fear not, for I will nourish you and all your little ones in the light of the promise, in the circle of the sons." Yeah.
from hence the oath was surely made. They put him in a coffin in the Egyptian shade, waiting for the journey home. Genesis 50. The book is finished.